Today, we're diving into the story of a teacher who basically hacked education. It's an incredible story of innovation that came from the ground up, and it might just change the way you think about where real change comes from. So let me ask you this. Where do the biggest breakthroughs in education really come from? Is it some big corporate R&D lab? Or a new government policy? Or what if it bubbles up from the one place where learning happens every single day, the classroom? Well, this explainer follows a story that makes a powerful case for exactly that. All right, so let's set the scene. Our story starts in a primary school in rural Gujarat, India. Now, the teachers here face a challenge that teachers all over the world know well. How in the world do you make a complex subject like science genuinely engaging for kids, especially when your resources are pretty limited?
But the biggest problem wasn't a lack of curiosity from the students. Not at all. The real roadblock was a lack of connectivity. In many rural areas, stable, affordable internet is a total luxury. And that means most of those modern digital learning tools we hear about, well, they're completely off the table. This is the digital divide in real life.
This is where our protagonist enters the picture. Meet Sandip Kumar Prajapati, a science teacher who looked at this problem and didn't see a barrier. He saw a challenge. So instead of waiting around for someone else to come up with a solution, he decided he was going to build one himself, from scratch.
So, what's his secret? Well, everything he does is driven by this simple three-word philosophy: read, think, and try. And this isn't just some catchy slogan he puts on a poster. No, it is the fundamental principle behind every single tool he's ever made. It's all about empowering students to actually take control of their own learning.
His first major innovation tackled that huge internet problem head-on, and he went in a completely radical direction. He developed a tool that completely bypasses the need for the internet. It's simple, it's effective, it's a series of offline HTML quizzes.
And the difference is just night and day. On one side, you have your standard e-learning, which is totally dependent on a constant and often expensive internet connection. And on the other side, his solution. It's 100% offline, no data needed. It works on any basic phone or computer, which completely shatters that connectivity barrier.
And the way they work is just beautifully simple. A student reads a quick summary of the lesson, then they answer some interactive questions, and here's the key, they get feedback right away, instantly, so they know if they're right or wrong, and they can learn at their own speed. And to keep it interesting, he built in a ton of variety, like multiple choice, true-false, and even drag-and-drop matching.
So, okay, the quizzes made learning accessible. That's huge. But what about making those really complex science ideas understandable? For that, Sandip Kumar turned to another powerful and kinda low-tech tool, the GIF. He literally decided to put science in motion.
Think about a concept like sublimation. For a student just reading a textbook, that is a really abstract and confusing idea. You know you can read the definition over and over again, but it's tough to really visualize what's happening.
But now, look at what happens in his custom-made GIF. You see the mixture getting heated, you see the ammonium chloride vaporize, rise up, cool down on the funnel, and turn back into a solid. A process that was just words on a page is now a crystal clear, step-by-step visual. He made an invisible process visible. Okay, so learning is now offline, and it's visual. But there was one piece of the puzzle still missing. How do you make it fun? How do you keep students motivated? Well, the answer was gamification. He turned the whole process of learning into a game.
He used a platform called WordWall and created a whole suite of educational games. And we're talking about things like Balloon Pop and Train and Target. These don't feel like a boring old test. They feel like a really fun challenge. And they tap right into that natural desire kids have to play and compete.
And the design of these games is just brilliant. They give you an instant score, there's a ticking timer to create a little bit of exciting pressure, and best of all, there's a live leaderboard. All of a sudden, students are motivated to try again, to beat their own high score, and in the process, they end up learning the material so much more deep.
But here's the thing. These quizzes and the GIFs and the games, they're just the tools. The real innovation here is the philosophy that powers them all. Let's take a look at the actual impact this has had.
And the impact is, well, the numbers really speak for themselves. He's created over 75 of these educational GIFs, and every single one is designed to make a really difficult concept simple and clear.
Then you have his digital books, which bundle all these amazing resources together. They've been downloaded over 50,000 times. That's students and teachers using his methods, spreading them far beyond his own school.
And get this, His home learning links have been visited over 100,000 times. This is grassroots innovation reaching a massive scale, all of it driven by just one person's vision. At the absolute heart of all this is this core belief. When a student gets an answer wrong in one of his quizzes, it isn't treated like a failure. It's treated like an invitation to think again. Why was that wrong? What's the right answer and why? A mistake becomes the start of a whole new investigation.
And that right there, that's the core of his entire method. It's inquiry-based learning. The goal isn't just to get kids to memorize facts for a test, it's to build their skills in observation, in logic, in problem solving. It's about transforming them from passive listeners into active investigators of the world around them.
Which brings us all the way back to our first question. This story really suggests that maybe the most effective, most necessary educational innovations aren't going to be developed in a lab somewhere. Maybe they're born from a teacher's deep understanding of what their own students actually need. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other amazing solutions are just waiting to be discovered right inside our classrooms?